Hello, everyone, and welcome to Self Mastery Sessions with Lisa Drew. I am Lisa Drew, self mastery life coach, author, and speaker. And I'm excited about today's sessions. We have some good topics. I want to thank all of you for just the positive feedback from the first two sessions. I'm glad people are enjoying the the feedback, the information, and you guys sent me some new questions. So thank you for that as well, and all the likes and follows. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it, guys. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. So if you're not following us here on YouTube, and I think I'm also on LinkedIn right now, go ahead and follow me, reach out, comment, and pop your questions in the chat. So this is session 3 of Self-Mastery Sessions, where I share some of the questions from the audience and we just chat about it. We chat about the questions. We talk about how self-mastery and emotional intelligence helps us get through these conflicts that we have in everyday life. So these questions do address different situations in life. So it's not just relationships, it's workplace issues, it's parenting issues that come up. So all of it. Let's jump right into the first question. So it's titled, "My ex has moved on, but I haven't." So this is one of those questions where, excuse me, you said the relationship was over. Your friends may have even told you to move on. Time could have gone past, but somehow this person is still living rent-free in your mind. Songs remind you of them, holidays, and every new person you meet kind of gets compared to them in some way, shape, or form in your head. So here's the question. Dear Coach Drew, my relationship ended almost a year ago. My ex has moved on and appears happy. Meanwhile, I'm still replaying conversations, wondering what I could have done differently and thinking about them every day. Why can't I let go? So what sticks out to me is the thinking about them every day and why can't I let go? Let's talk about that. So I'm not sure if you've ever had this situation. I have. I think if we're being honest, we all have had something similar. So the good news is most people think that when they're having a situation like this, where you keep thinking about somebody and you want to text them, you want to reach out, we somehow always think that it's because of the person, right? We feel like we're struggling to let go of that person. But oftentimes, it's not necessarily the person. It's struggling to let go of the future or the life that we imagined with that person. So especially when that person has hurt us or there's a good reason that we broke up with them, you still imagined a future with them. You still made plans. You still expected a certain life with them. And believe it or not, anytime we imagine something, anytime we, especially when we're feeling good while we're imagining it, it gets wired into our brains. So the relationship may be over, but that dream that you created is still alive. And that's one of the reasons why breakups can be so painful. So painful. Oftentimes, you're not just grieving or you're not missing what happened or the relationship. You're grieving what's not going to happen now. You're grieving or lamenting over the vacations, the milestones you would have had together, the memories that you were supposed to create together. So it's those dreams that you created within yourself that you keep latching onto. In order to get past this, it's a truth and a reality that we have to accept. You're not going to be able to get past it while you're still negotiating with that reality. So as long as a part of you is arguing with what happened, that part of you remains trapped in that situation. So what do I mean by that? Healing, moving on, is going to begin when you stop asking yourself, why did this happen to me? Why am I losing this? Why don't I have these things that I imagined? And when we stop asking ourselves those questions and we start asking, what is this experience teaching me about myself and about the new path that I need to take? Once you start switching the question that you're asking yourself about the situation, those feelings will start to go away. Those feelings will subside. So sometimes you're not missing the person, you're missing the possibility. All the possibilities that could have, should have, may have occurred with that person. And you can't start a new chapter while reading the old one. You can't start a new chapter while rereading the old one. Because acceptance is not approval. It's the end of the argument with reality. And what do I mean by the argument with reality? When we keep revisiting the thoughts of this person, we're arguing with reality. We're saying we don't want it to be the way that it is, right? That acceptance is lacking. That's something that you will hear me talk about so much, because it is one of the tenets of self-mastery. Being able to accept and stop fighting. Stop resisting reality. What we resist persists. When we resist our negative feelings about a situation that happened, it's going to persist. It's going to chase us. It is the nature of feelings. It's the nature of thoughts. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, ask yourself, am I grieving the person or the future I imagined with them? And the answer to that question may unlock your healing and your growth in that area. Your healing and your growth. Excuse me. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments about that question, that scenario, go ahead and put it in the comments and I will definitely get to it. Scenario number 2 for today. I feel like a fraud. I feel like a fraud. So that's the title of the scenario, but I'm going to ask you, have you ever accomplished something amazing and then immediately worried that someone would discover that you didn't really belong there. So you earn the degree, you land the promotion, start the business, walk onto the stage. And instead of feeling proud, you feel terrified. Dear Coach Drew, I have achieved things that I only once dreamed about, but I constantly feel like a fraud. I worry that people think I'm more capable than I really am. Why can't I enjoy my success? Why can't I enjoy my success? Excuse me. So that question right there is really why I love what I do and I am so passionate about what I do. Why can't I enjoy my success? Because that was a question that I used to get a lot in my life coaching sessions. And that's something that always troubled me. Why so many people who attain success in one area of their life, or even in all areas of their life, the enjoyment and the positive feelings about the success that they thought were going to come along with it tend to escape them. And we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to do that. So many high achievers suffer from a strange condition like this one. They treat their accomplishments like an accident. So they know they worked hard for it. We know that we work hard for accomplishments, but sometimes, and it may not be with all your accomplishments, but for certain ones, you treat it like an accident. You treat it like it wasn't something that was earned or something that you should have. Or you think others are looking at you that way. So for people like that, every success becomes just luck. Every win becomes, it was good timing. Every achievement becomes a mistake that someone hasn't discovered yet. And it's kind of like planting a garden. You water it, you protect it, you pull the weeds, you watch it grow. Then when the flowers appear, you say, wow, what a coincidence. Now, that's what many people do with their success. You worked for it, you prepared for it, sacrificed for it, yet you struggle to own it. You struggle to own it. And that's the definition of imposter syndrome, when you feel like you don't belong in the room, even though you earned your spot. When you feel like people are looking at you as if you don't belong. So self-mastery is learning to receive credit without arrogance and acknowledge growth without guilt. Receive credit without arrogance and acknowledge growth without guilt. Many of us were raised to believe that if we are proud of our accomplishment, it means we're being prideful. If we are happy about our success, it means that we think we're better than someone else. So because there's this internal battle going on, instead of joy, you're going to feel like you should shrink. And that's all it is. So confidence isn't believing that you're perfect. Confidence is acknowledging the evidence of what you have worked hard for. Humility is not denying your strengths. I want you to remember you are allowed to acknowledge what you've earned. And sometimes just that simple mindset shift will help you to start walking in your accomplishments and walking in your strength. Confidence is evidence remembered. Confidence is evidence remembered. So this is what I want you to do, and this is for the questioner And for anyone else feeling this way, write down 5 accomplishments that you've dismissed as luck or that you feel you didn't really deserve. For each one, I want you to ask yourself, what would I tell a friend who achieved these same things? And begin to tell yourself that and begin to believe it. Next scenario number 3. My family still treats me like the old me. I like that title. Okay. Have you ever worked hard to grow, heal, and change, only to spend one weekend with family and feel like you've gone backwards 10 years? Now, especially when we go through growth, especially when we go through change and attain a new level in life, and that can be emotionally, physically, career-wise, whatever walk of life it is in, when you go back to family, they remember the old you. They remember the old you. And they're going to treat you like the old you. So let's see. Dear Coach Drew, I've worked hard on myself over the last few years. I'm more confident, healthier, and emotionally aware. The problem is that my family still treats me like the insecure person I used to be. How do I deal with people who don't recognize my growth? How do I deal with people who don't recognize my growth? Well, the first thing to remember is they don't have to recognize your growth. It's important to walk in it. It's important to embody it, whether they acknowledge it or not. But this is one of the hardest parts of transformation. And let's get into why. Let's get into why. It is, we always want others to acknowledge things that we've done. But even more than someone else's acknowledgement is our stability in that change that we have made. Because once we have fully embodied it and we're stable in this new level, we become unshakable and we don't need their validation. So when you change, people don't automatically update their mental file on you, especially if they haven't been around you. And that's what it seems like happened in this situation. So they'll often continue interacting with the version of you that they've known for years. So that could be the shy version, the people-pleasing version, the insecure version, a version that made them comfortable. They're used to that. They're used to that. And growth can make other people uncomfortable because it forces them to update their expectations, and not everyone wants to do that. The good news is your growth does not require their permission. And I said it before, you don't need their validation to evolve. You don't need their consensus to become someone new. And the people who truly love you will adjust. And the people who don't may continue to try to keep pulling you back into an identity that you've outgrown. But just because they remember your past, it doesn't mean you have to live there. Now, that's the tricky part, because when they start interacting with you the way that you used to be, there's that internal pull to want to interact on that level. So again, being solid in your new identity and remembering who you are if you begin to interact on that new level, it will change the way that they interact with you as well. So growth often requires disappointing old expectations. Growth is going to require disappointing old expectations. So just know that there is going to be an adjustment period. Just know that there's going to be an adjustment period, and that's okay. It's almost like they're meeting a new person. So allow them to meet the new you. Stay solid and confident in the you that you have become, and you guys will form a new relationship based on where you are, not where you were. And remember, you're not obligated to remain who you used to be. One of my cousins used to say that to me a lot. He used to say, don't change, don't ever change, right? And I know what he meant when he was saying that, but there's no way to, and I was in high school. I was about to go off to college when he was saying that. So I guess he was saying, when I go off to college, don't change, still stay the person you are and all of that. But parts of you are going to change. Parts of you are going to grow. And we often feel, whether it's spoken or unspoken, we feel this pull for us to stay the same. And if we don't stay the same, we feel like we're disappointing others. So that is one of the internal struggles and conversations that we need to have with ourselves so that we stop feeling that way. So if you find yourself in that situation, I want you to ask yourself, am I living from my current identity or someone else's memory of me? Am I living from my current identity or someone else's memory of me? And remember, you have permission to live from your current identity. Scenario number three. Why do I keep attracting the same type of relationship? This happens a lot. So different face, different name, different city. Same heartbreak. At some point, you stop asking, why do I keep meeting these people? And start asking, why do I keep choosing them? This is always an interesting kind of topic for me, because I noticed that we tend to get in the same types of relationship over and over again. And I always believed that it was because there was a lesson that we were supposed to learn. And until we learn that lesson, even if you leave the person, that lesson is going to keep coming up over and over again. So it's best to just stay where you are, learn whatever you need to learn, and then move on with a clean break. And then you'll meet someone new. Otherwise, you'll keep meeting the same person in a different body. It's the weirdest thing. So, dear Coach Drew, I have been in several relationships and they all seem to end the same way. At first, everything is amazing. Everything seems amazing. But eventually I feel unappreciated, taken for granted, or emotionally drained. Why do I keep attracting the same type of person? Now, I always say, wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. So there's two answers to this question. If you feel like you're attracting the same person or the same situation over and over again, it is often because there's something within us that is attracting that. Okay, I firmly believe in energy and frequency. Our thoughts, our mindsets create a certain frequency. It attracts or repels other people from us, and that plays a big part. So you attract who you are, not who you want. You attract who you are, not who you want. So the question is, what if you're not attracting the same person? The second way to look at this is, what if you're accepting the same behavior? Many people don't have a relationship pattern, they have a selection pattern. What this looks like is you're drawn to what feels familiar and not necessarily what is healthy. Sometimes we mistake chemistry for compatibility. Sometimes we mistake intensity for intimacy. I've heard this time and time again, and I've seen it as well. Oftentimes, if you feel butterflies in your stomach, that's actually a warning sign. That's your biochemical makeup telling you that there's something wrong with this relationship. That's actually your fear response kicking in that you're feeling physically. And we think butterflies means, oh, I must really like this person. My heart is beating faster. No, your body is sensing something that you can't mentally pick up on yet. You can't logically pick up on it yet. And it's trying to warn you you're in fight or flight. So oftentimes when we feel butterflies, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. I've heard so often that it's not the ones that make you feel excited that you should connect with. It's the ones that make you feel safe. But we mistake safety for boring sometimes. So that's a mental shift as well. So sometimes we mistake intensity for intimacy. And sometimes we mistake potential for character. Potential for character. The uncomfortable truth is that when we choose people who reinforce our existing beliefs about ourselves, we're choosing wrong. Often we choose, people who enforce our existing beliefs about ourselves. If you secretly believe or subconsciously believe that love must be earned, you'll be attracted to people who make you work for it, to people who make you earn their love. If you believe subconsciously or consciously that you're not enough, you'll tolerate treatment that confirms it. The relationship is often the classroom. The lesson is usually about you. Because again, at the end of the day, I firmly believe we're on this planet for self-mastery, to master ourselves, to master our environment, to master our connection with God and others. But it's not about mastering others. Not at all. So, chemistry can start a relationship, but character is going to be what sustains it. And patterns don't lie. Your standards always determine your future more than your desires. So remember, you don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. I want you to ask yourself this: if you find yourself in this situation or a similar one, Ask yourself, what red flags did I see early, but later called it surprises? What red flags did I see early that I later called surprises? Because I don't think we're ever really surprised. Either we saw signs, we saw warnings, or our nervous system was trying to tell us, but we didn't quite catch the message. So we are going to close out for today. If you have any questions or comments about any of today's topics, leave it in the chat or you can send me a message. Thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'd love to connect with you in the comments, and I'll see you next time. You have an awesome day. Until we meet again.